The past simple tense is used to talk about actions or events that happened in the past and are now completed. Here is an example of a past simple tense question. What did you do yesterday? To answer this question using the past simple tense, you would say something like, I went for a walk in the park. Or I watched a movie at home. Here are some example sentences. I walked to the park yesterday. She cooked dinner for us last night. He watched a movie on TV last Saturday. They went on a vacation to Hawaii last summer. The students studied hard for their exams last week. She played tennis with her friends yesterday morning. He visited his grandparents in the countryside last month. The concert started at 8 p.m. and ended at 11 p.m. last night. We cleaned the house before our guests arrived. She met her best friend for lunch yesterday afternoon. I ate breakfast this morning. She walked to the store yesterday. They played soccer last night. He studied for 3 hours last evening. We visited Paris last summer. The movie started at 7 p.m. yesterday. She finished her homework before going to bed. He wrote a letter to his friend last week. The train arrived on time this morning. I met my friend at the coffee shop yesterday. He cooked lunch for us yesterday. They went to the beach on the weekend. We watched a movie last night. The team won the game last week. She visited her grandparents last month. He played soccer with his friends after school. They finished their homework before dinner. We traveled to Europe last summer. Here are a few long sentences using the past simple tense. Yesterday, I woke up at 6 a.m., took a shower, got dressed, had breakfast, and left for work. Last weekend, I visited my grandparents, who live in the countryside, went for long walks in the fields, and had delicious home-cooked meals. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Spain, learned the language, made new friends, and traveled to different cities. When I was a child, I loved playing outside with my friends, riding my bike, climbing trees, and playing games until the sun went down. Last year, I took up a new hobby of painting, bought canvases, brushes, and paints, and spent hours creating colorful artworks. In high school, I played in the school band, practiced every day, performed at concerts, and won awards. During my vacation in Hawaii, I swam with dolphins, watched the sunset from a beach, went hiking in the mountains, and tasted the local cuisine. Yesterday, I woke up early and went for a morning jog in the park before heading to work. The sun set behind the mountains, as friends gathered around the campfire and roasted marshmallows. She visited her grandparents in the countryside and spent the entire weekend helping them with the farm chores. The teacher walked into the classroom and began writing the day's lesson on the whiteboard, while the students settled into their seats. They drove for hours through the winding roads and finally arrived at the beach, where they spent the day surfing and sunbathing. The concert started at 8 p.m., and the band played their most popular songs, while the audience sang and danced along. We climbed to the top of the mountain and enjoyed the breathtaking view of the surrounding landscape. He cooked a delicious meal for his family and surprised them with a homemade dessert for dessert. The movie ended, and the audience applauded as the credits rolled up the screen. Yesterday evening, I went to a concert with my friends, sang along to the songs, danced to the beat, and had a great time. Samantha woke up feeling tired. She had stayed up late the night before studying for her exam. She realized she had forgotten to pack her lunch as she got ready for school. She quickly made a sandwich and grabbed a banana before rushing out the door. She struggled to stay awake in class, but managed to make it through the day. Tom and his friends went camping in the mountains. They set up their tents and started a fire. They roasted marshmallows and told ghost stories late into the night. The next day, they went hiking and saw some beautiful views of the area. As the sun set, they returned to their camp and went to bed, exhausted from their adventures. It was a cold and rainy day when Jane decided to stay inside and read a book. She snuggled up on the couch with a blanket and a cup of tea. It was dark outside, so she turned on the lights and kept reading until she finished the book. John and his family went on a road trip to the beach. They stopped at a few tourist attractions along the way and took lots of pictures. When they finally arrived at the beach, they went swimming and built sandcastles. They also had a picnic on the beach and watched the sunset. It was a fun and memorable vacation. I woke up early in the morning. I quickly got dressed and went for a run in the park. As I was jogging, I saw a group of children playing soccer. I decided to join in, and we played for a while. Afterwards, I headed back home feeling energized and happy. Here are some long stories for intermediate English learners. Sarah and the Injured Duck. There was a little girl named Sarah. She lived in a small village with her parents and siblings. One day, Sarah decided to go for a walk in the forest. As she was exploring, she stumbled upon a beautiful lake. She sat down by the lake to admire the view and suddenly saw a duck swimming toward her. The duck was injured, and Sarah knew she had to help. She carefully picked up the duck and took it back to her village to nurse it back to health. With the help of her family, Sarah was able to save the duck. The duck became her loyal companion and followed her everywhere she went. From that day on, Sarah and the duck had many adventures together. The importance of friendship. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Benny. Benny loved to play in the fields with his siblings and friends. One day, while playing, Benny saw an apple that looked extra tasty. He ran over to grab it, but as he did, he slipped and fell into a hole. Benny was scared and didn't know what to do. But then he remembered his friends and started to call out for help. His friends heard him and quickly came to the rescue. They worked together to get Benny out of the hole. Once he was safe, Benny thanked his friends for their help. He realized that it's good to have friends who are always there for you, no matter what. From that day on, Benny never forgot the importance of friendship and was grateful for his friends every day. Mark planned a picnic. Mark woke up early on Saturday morning. He had planned to go for a hike in the mountains with his friends. He got dressed, had breakfast, and drove to the meeting point. When he arrived, he saw that his friends were already there. They greeted each other and started walking towards the trail. The hike was long, but they enjoyed the beautiful scenery and fresh air. After a few hours, they reached the top of the mountain. They sat down and had a picnic lunch while admiring the view. They took some photos and then started to descend. Finally, they reached the end of the trail and returned to their cars. Mark said goodbye to his friends and drove back home, feeling happy and tired from the adventure. In these stories, all the verbs are in the past simple tense, describing a sequence of events that happened in the past.